when people walked in, they went, "This is so obvious. Why hasn't somebody done this before?" And that's what entrepreneurs can do, because if you're a big company, you have to have a great big whiteboard and everything gets debated. But if you're an entrepreneur, you just got a vision and you go for it. You can do what you want. You've got to build something that looks so real that people believe you. And you can only have people believe you if you believe it yourself. For the most part, I did believe that that would be a success. I always say 90% I believed it, 5% I had my doubts, and 5% was sleepless nights of sheer terror. I don't think there was ever pressure to do better. Pressure for me has always come from survival. I never wanted to be very, very rich and very, very famous and very, very successful. I always wanted to not be very, very poor. That was my motivation.
Tell us, where were you in life? What were you doing? And ultimately, what made you say, screw it, just do it?
Screw it, let's do it. I was 45. I'd been in I left school with 2 O-levels. I'd been in the rock and roll business. I'd been in the television business. I'd made films. I'd lots of things. I've had small businesses. And for the 3rd or 4th time in my life, I was lost and I was down on my luck. And I thought, I've got to do something. And I started taking out people who, how can I describe? Well, maybe people who I was a bit in awe of or scared of. And one of them was a guy called Mr. Uehara from Fuji Sankei Television. And he kindly took me out to lunch at a sushi restaurant. We were having lunch and eating sushi. And he said, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I'm just looking for opportunities." And I said, "We're here. What about sushi? It's not taken off here." And he said the famous words, which were, "What you should do, Simon, is a conveyor belt sushi bar with girls in black PVC miniskirts." That's what happened. And 2 years later, 1997, January 22nd, actually, I opened the first one.
Wow. And before that point, then, I guess maybe there wasn't anything holding you back because you hadn't had that opportunity, hadn't presented itself, right?
Well, there's nothing holding me back other than the fact that I was running out of money, and I'm not pleading complete poverty, but having had all those businesses and all the ups and downs of life, I had and the property values going up in this world, I had 200 grand tied up in my apartment, and I wasn't going to start some 2-bit little restaurant. It was much safer to start something big, and it was in those days, 25 years ago, it was £1 million. And so I put my 200 grand in, and I was lucky enough to get what was then a government loan guarantee scheme, which guaranteed another 200 grand, some what I call shark leasing of all the kitchen equipment. So I had about half the money, and the rest was done on beg, borrow, and steal. And there's a famous story that I actually got Sony, Honda, and All Nippon Airlines in as they didn't know they were sponsors. And they lent me things. One of them gave me an upgrade to Japan. They lent me for old-fashioned television sets, and I made them my official sponsor and plastered over everything. I mean, it's a long story, but I'm not going to go now. But it's as a result of that, the world thought I was sponsored by these majors. So I got credit left, right, and center. And that's actually how I financed Yo Sushi, and ended up opening and turning away the equity investors, the sort of angel investors who I'd been sort of nurturing and who were hovering in the background, go, "Oh, now you're open, we'll come on in." I said, "No, thank you." And I ended up actually owning 95% of the business. I mean, it was amazing how it worked out.
Wow. And tell me a little bit about that. And then how did you get those connections to those brands?
Well, I wrote to Sony. I mean, I had a really great looking business plan, because it wasn't it was very show busy business plan. The front of it said, "If you want to make God laugh, show him your business plan." I actually put that on the front. People said, "You can't do that." I showed everybody the bank. They said, "At least you're realistic." And I literally called up All Nippon Airlines, called up Sony, chatted them up, and like you, I can do a bit of chat. And I said, all I want you to do is just lend me 4 of those big TV sets so I can put Japanese TV on in the front of the restaurants with the sound turned down. And I'll do whatever. I'll over deliver on everything. And All Nippon Airlines upgraded me once when I went to Japan, and Honda lent me one of those Honda Jaro canopies, which just one of them, just lent them for a few months. And we actually ended up with about 10 of them running around London, the best advertising I've ever done. And then I wrote them all the letters saying, look, I'm so grateful for what you've done that I'm going to make you my official sponsor. If I don't hear back from you in the next 7 days, I'll assume you agree. Of course, a big company never wrote back. So I put them over everything.
If this conversation resonated with you, don't just sit there, act on it. Make sure you follow or subscribe for more game-changing conversations, and remember, the only thing standing between you and your business breakthrough is the decision to screw it and just do it.